Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into the Loire Valley.
Absolutely.
This region, it's like they call it the Garden of France.
Yeah.
Beautiful scenery, right? Castles and these vineyards stretching for like, I don't know, 600 miles.
It's incredible.
But it's not just a pretty picture. I mean, there's some serious winemaking going on there, a real diversity of wines, too.
Absolutely.
So we're going to uncover what makes these Loire Valley wines so special, kind of travel back in time to see like how it's evolved,
Right.
how the grapes and the history, how the climate and soil all work together to create these super unique flavors.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the end, you'll be able to pick out the perfect bottle, impress your friends with your Loire Valley knowledge.
Exactly.
I think what always gets me is just how far back winemaking goes in the Loire Valley.
It's a long history.
We're talking Roman times.
Yeah, Roman time. I mean, that's where it all started.
Right.
I think what often surprises people is just how long it's been a part of life in the Loire Valley.
Right. Yeah. So who kept things going after the Romans? They planted the vineyards, but who is next?
It was the monks, honestly.
Right.
The monks, especially in the Middle Ages, they really deserve a lot of credit for, like, preserving and advancing the art of winemaking.
Yeah.
They recognized that the Loire River, it actually moderates the climate there, so it created these like ideal conditions for growing grapes.
So the monks are like the OG Loire Valley winemakers.
You could say that.
That's pretty cool.
Uh,
But royalty also played a role, right?
oh, absolutely.
I mean, weren't some kings kind of obsessed with these wines?
Oh, yeah, King Francis I, huge figure in French history. He was so captivated by these Loire Valley wines that he decided to build, the Chateau de Chambord.
That huge,
That's a
magnificent,
magnificent chateau.
right in the middle of the vineyards.
Right in the heart of the vineyards.
That's commitment.
That's a statement, yeah.
So you mentioned that eventually, like, the Loire Valley got kind of overshadowed, right, by like Bordeaux and Burgundy.
Yeah, it's true.
So how did it come back? How did it get its like mojo back?
It's interesting, while the French nobility were focused on those other regions, it was actually Dutch traders.
Oh, really?
They saw something special in the Loire Valley wines, especially the whites, like those crisp, refreshing whites. They were, lighter and brighter than those heavier burgundies that were popular then, and they just took off, became sought after throughout Europe.
So they brought the Loire Valley back, like kind of put it back on the map.
Exactly. They really helped revive the region's wine trade.
So it was the Loire Valley whites, that kind of unique character that did it.
Yeah, they offered something different, something appealing, and people wanted it.
And that makes me think about like the whole concept of terroir, right?
Yeah.
Where the environment shapes the taste.
Right.
So how does that work in the Loire Valley? Like how does the terroir play out there?
It's amazing how diverse it is, the terroir there. The Loire River, as we mentioned, it regulates the temperature, keeps things kind of balanced for the vines.
Right.
But the soil, that's the magic. You have like a patchwork of different types: clay, limestone, flint, schist,
Wow.
even volcanic soil in some places. It's incredible. It all contributes to the huge range of wines you get from the region.
It's like all these pieces of the puzzle coming together, the
Yeah.
climate, the soil.
Exactly. Different expressions in each bottle.
That's amazing.
The flinty soils in Sancerre, for example, give the Sauvignon Blanc there that signature minerality, almost steely,
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the clay soils in Chinon, they contribute to the structure and the complexity of the Cabernet Franc.
So it's not just about the grape itself, it's the whole interplay of the environment, the soil.
Exactly. That's what makes exploring the Loire Valley so fascinating. You're really tasting a specific place in every glass.
So true.
And to add another layer to all of this, we have to remember the Loire Valley isn't like one big area. It's divided into these key subregions, each with its own little microclimate and soil types
Of course.
and different grapes that thrive there. It's all connected.
Okay, so we got the history, the terroir, but now I want to get into the grapes themselves.
Yeah, let's talk grapes.
What are the stars of the show, the ones that make Loire Valley wines so special?
Well, if we're talking Loire Valley, white grapes are king.
Mm.
And when it comes to whites, Chenin Blanc reigns supreme.
Oh, Chenin Blanc. I've always found it so interesting. What makes it so special in the Loire Valley, though?
It's the versatility. It's incredible.
Mm.
Chenin Blanc can produce a whole spectrum of wine styles,
Oh, wow.
from bone dry to sparkling, all the way to sweet dessert wines.
So, like, I could have sparkling Chenin Blanc before dinner and then a sweet one with dessert.
Exactly, all from the same grape.
Whoa.
It all comes down to the winemaker, how they work with the grape, the specific vineyard.
That's wild.
You could find a crisp mineral Chenin Blanc from Vouvray, or a honeyed apricot-infused Chenin Blanc from Coteau de Lion. Totally different.
A real chameleon, then, this Chenin Blanc.
That's a good way to put it.
Are there other white grapes that, like, stand out in the Loire Valley?
Oh, absolutely. Sauvignon Blanc is another big player. It's known for its vibrant, acidity, zesty citrus notes. And this real minerality sets it apart.
I've heard Loire Sauvignon Blancs are considered some of the best.
They're up there, definitely.
So what makes them different, like from Sauvignon Blancs in other places?
They have this elegance and finesse. You don't always find that elsewhere. Less grassy, less herbaceous. Often have this beautiful, flinty minerality, adds complexity.
Right.
You think about a crisp Sancerre with those gooseberry and grapefruit aromas, or a Puy Fumé with its smoky, almost gunflint notes.
So it's all about subtlety then?
Exactly. It's not in your face. It invites you to, appreciate the nuances. And speaking of unique expressions, we can't forget about Melon de Bourgogne.
Oh, yeah, Muscadet.
The grape behind Muscadet.
It's great with seafood.
It is classic pairing.
But I gotta admit, I don't know much about the grape itself. What makes it so special?
It thrives in that cool climate of the Loire Valley, by the ocean.
Right.
But what's really interesting is the aging process. Many Muscadet producers use something called sur lie aging.
Sola, yeah, I've seen that on labels.
Essentially, after fermentation, the wine stays in contact with the yeast cells, the lees. Sounds weird, but it adds texture and complexity to the wine.
So those lees are actually doing something to the flavor.
Exactly. Sur lie aging gives Muscadet that creamy, almost textured mouthfeel.
Interesting.
And those yeasty, biscuity notes, perfect with oysters.
It's like the secret ingredient.
It is. It's a testament to the winemakers there, how they work with what they have.
Oh, that's cool.
And while we've been talking whites, there's another side to the Loire Valley.
Oh.
Where the red grapes shine.
Okay, lead the way. I'm ready for some reds.
Yeah. Do it. When it comes to Loire Valley reds, Cabernet Franc, it's got to be the first one you think of.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially in places like Chinon and Bourgogne, those wines are just elegance and complexity, and there's this herbal note. I find it so interesting.
Yeah, I've had Cabernet Franc from other regions. But what sets the Loire Valley ones apart? What am I tasting for?
They're a bit lighter bodied than, say, a Bordeaux, but still complex.
Okay.
Beautiful aromas like red fruit, you get raspberry, cranberry, and then those herbal notes, maybe bell pepper, or even a hint of pencil shavings.
Wow.
And a great freshness, minerality. They're made for food.
So it's that balance and nuance again, like we were talking about with the whites.
It's a theme for sure.
But there's got to be more than just Cabernet Franc, right? What other red grapes are hiding out in the Loire Valley?
Well, there's Gamay, like in Beaujolais.
Oh, yeah.
But in the Loire, particularly Touraine, it's lighter, brighter, juicy red fruit flavors, super fresh, easy drinking wines.
So, if Cabernet Franc is the sophisticated one, Gamay's the party animal.
Haha, something like that.
I like it.
And then you have Pinot Noir, smaller quantities, but they can be really good.
Pinot Noir, interesting.
Especially in the Sancerre area, they're more delicate, earthy, compared to a Burgundy Pinot.
Oh, right.
Subtle red fruit, silky texture. They're lovely.
So if I'm looking for a lighter red, but with that earthiness, Loire Valley Pinot Noir is the way to go.
Definitely worth checking out.
Okay, noted.
And while we're talking about exploring different styles, we have to mention the sparkling wines of the Loire Valley.
Wait, hold on. Sparkling wines from the Loire?
Yeah.
That's not something I would have thought of.
It's a bit of a hidden gem. They might not be as famous as champagne, but the quality is incredible and the value is fantastic.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about these Loire sparklers.
The region's got a long tradition of making sparkling wines, especially in Saumur and Vouvray. What's cool is they often use the traditional method, same as champagne.
Wow.
But with different grapes, you'll find them made from Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay, Cabernet Franc.
Cabernet Franc bubbles.
Even a touch of Pinot Noir sometimes, yeah.
So there's a whole range of styles then.
Absolutely. You could have a crisp, elegant, sparkling Chenin Blanc from Vouvray, or a richer, more complex one from Saumur. Maybe a blend of Chenin and Chardonnay.
So basically, there's a Loire sparkler for everyone.
Exactly. It's part of what makes exploring this region so fun. There's always something new.
I love that.
A new style, new flavor, new experience waiting to be discovered.
You mentioned earlier about how the Dutch traders kind of helped put the Loire Valley back on the map, especially with those crisp whites.
Yeah, it's a fascinating part of the story.
What was it about those wines that they loved, and how did that, like, shape the region's winemaking, do you think?
Well, they were drawn to that lightness, that freshness, the acidity. It was a big contrast to the heavier wines that were popular back then.
Makes sense.
Plus, they were more affordable, so they became really fashionable among, like, the merchant class in the Netherlands.
So a mix of taste, affordability, and a little bit of trend setting.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so.
It's amazing how those early trade routes, like, shaped the whole identity of the Loire Valley as a wine region.
It's true.
It's a reminder that wine isn't just about, like, the grapes. It's about culture, trade, how tastes change over time.
Exactly. And that story is still unfolding today.
So true.
And speaking of the evolution of the Loire Valley, we have to talk about climate change.
Oh, yeah.
It's the elephant in the room. Every wine region is facing it, and the Loire is no different.
Yeah, it's been on my mind this whole time.
Yeah.
The Loire, with its cooler climate and these specific grapes, it seems really vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So how are the winemakers responding?
They're incredibly resourceful. They've been adapting for centuries, really. And they're tackling this new challenge head on.
That's good to hear.
Many of them are embracing sustainable farming practices, organic and biodynamic methods.
Yeah, conserving water, focusing on biodiversity in the vineyards.
So it's about like protecting the environment, making sure the vineyards stay healthy for the long haul.
Absolutely. They know that protecting the land is essential for the future of their wines.
Right. It's all connected.
It's not just about being eco-friendly. It's about preserving the unique character of Loire Valley wines.
Makes sense.
And it's not just about sustainable practices. There's innovation happening too.
Oh, like what?
Experimenting with new grape varieties, ones that might do better in warmer temperatures. Using technology to monitor the vineyards, make better decisions.
Cool.
Some are even considering moving their vineyards to higher elevations or cooler spots within the Loire Valley.
Wow, so they're really thinking outside the box.
They have to. The future of the Loire Valley depends on it.
It sounds like there's a lot of hope and determination, though. A real sense of community.
Definitely. They're sharing knowledge, experimenting, finding creative solutions. They know they're all in this together. That's encouraging to hear. It's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. It's about resilience and finding a way forward.
Now, something I wanted to ask about is the AOC system.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, but I'd love to get a better understanding of how it works and what it means for, like, the average wine drinker.
Okay, so the AOC system, it stands for Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée. It's a French certification.
Right.
It guarantees the origin, the quality, the authenticity of wines.
Okay.
It's about protecting the reputation of a region, making sure the wines meet certain standards.
So when I see that AOC on a label, it's like a seal of approval.
Exactly. It means the wine was made in a specific area, using specific grapes, and following strict rules. It's all about making sure you're getting a wine that truly represents the terroir of that region.
That's super helpful. And can you give some examples of, like, specific AOCs in the Loire Valley and what they're known for?
Of course, Salcere, we talked about that. It's all about Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
Vouvray, another one we discussed, that's Chenin Blanc country. Then you've got Chenin and Bourguet, famous for their Cabernet Franc.
Yeah.
And Muscadet, that's your Melon de Bourgogne headquarters.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
Each AOC has its own set of rules governing everything from grape varieties to planting density to how the wine is made.
So by choosing an AOC wine, I'm basically getting a guarantee of authenticity and quality.
Exactly. It's a system that's been in place for centuries, protecting the integrity of French wines.
Makes sense.
And it benefits everyone, the producers and the consumers.
Okay, I'm officially inspired. I need to start exploring Loire Valley wines.
I'm glad to hear it.
But I gotta be honest, the variety is a little intimidating. Like, where do I even begin?
That's a great question. A lot of people feel that way when they first dive into wine.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we can break it down, make it manageable.
Okay.
The fun part is figuring out what you like.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready for some recommendations. I'm ready. Hit me with those recommendations. Where should I start?
One of the great things about Loire Valley wines is that they're so food-friendly. I usually suggest thinking about what you like to eat and kind of going from there.
Well, that's smart. Yeah, I like that approach.
Yeah, it helps narrow things down.
So, like, I tend to go for lighter dishes, you know, seafood, salads, chicken. What would you pair with those?
Okay, so for your palate, I definitely recommend those crisp whites we were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Muscadet, for example. with that surly aging, the bright acidity. That'd be fantastic with seafood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Imagine it with some fresh oysters or like grilled prawns.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
It's a classic for a reason.
Okay, muscadet, I'm adding it to the list.
Good choice.
But what if I'm feeling like a cheese plate?
Cheese plate.
Something a little richer.
Then we got to go with Chenin Blanc, a dry Vouvray.
Okay, yeah.
With those notes of quince, honey, that little bit of minerality, it would be beautiful with some goat cheese.
All right, Vouvray, got it.
You're going to love it.
And what about, like, for a heartier meal?
Red meat.
Red meat. Okay, we got to go with those elegant reds.
Right.
A Chinon, that's Cabernet Franc. That'd be superb.
Okay, yeah.
It's lighter bodied, so it won't overpower the meat.
Right.
And the acidity cuts through the richness. Plus, those herbal notes complement the dish perfectly.
I'm seeing a trend here. These wines are all about, like, working with the food.
Exactly. They're not trying to be the star of the show. They're enhancing the whole experience.
That's what I'm picking up on. They're like the perfect supporting actor.
That's a great way to put it.
Loire Valley wines, man, you've totally changed my perspective.
I'm glad to hear that.
I used to think they were kind of, I don't know, obscure.
Yeah, I get that.
But now I'm seeing them as these hidden gems.
That's exactly what they are.
Just waiting to be discovered.
The Loire Valley is full of surprises. There's always something new to learn, a new producer to try, a new flavor to experience.
This has been such an eye-opener. Seriously, I'm already thinking about my next wine shop trip.
Good. You got to put this knowledge into action. And maybe even a trip to the Loire Valley itself someday.
Oh, you should definitely go.
Yeah.
It's a region that will captivate you. You'll come back with a whole new appreciation for wine.
I can't wait. Well, thanks for taking us on this deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been my pleasure. I love sharing my passion for the Loire Valley.
And for our listeners, we hope this has inspired you to explore the wines of this incredible region. There's so much to discover.
So much diversity, something for everyone.
Cheers to that. Until next time, everyone.
Cheers.